Gonna make us artsy now?
Yes, I'm gonna raise your cultural palette. So we met Elena Øhalnder last spring. She had an art show with a group of artists, but you know how that goes. Everybody has to go solo eventually. So she has a show coming up that launches this Thursday.
Jacksonville's art culture is super diverse. So being an artist and being exposed to all these different types of art certainly open up the platform for an artist to explore freely and feel like unafraid to take risks.
As for taking risks, Elena Øhalnder has taken a leap and launches her solo art exhibit at Space 42. Doing it on her own has cost her
sanity. Yeah, I mean, I didn't realize what I'm getting myself into. With a solo exhibition, you do feel quite alone, right? And in not just in your studio, but just in like preparation for everything.
Are we excited that the show is upon us, or relieved? A combination of both?
It's definitely a mixture of both. You know?
With all of those emotions, she's beyond stoked to share her work with Jacksonville. She explains her influences.
I think for myself, being half Asian, I always looked for art to represent me to some degree, and I wouldn't always see it often. So when I create my characters, to some degree they are self-portraits, but for the most part I try to keep them relatively ambiguous Asian female, right? And some of that stems from the motivation for my daughter to have that representation that I didn't have.
Elena talks about the theme of her solo show.
I titled it Endless Dream because Japanese culture inexplicably is a big part of my life. My daughter is half Japanese, and even growing up I was always attracted to Japanese animation and their aesthetic with things, and so it really engulfs the way I visualize things both in the waking world and in my dreams.
She says the work is multi-layered, as reality and dream world tend to blend together. I can relate.
That's the interesting thing about my work, is that it's hard to draw a hard line between like reality, and my imagination is quite vivid in real life. So I would say that some of the pieces that are maybe alluding to this idea of a nightmare, because that's why I called it Endless Dream, is I didn't want to call it a nightmare, but of course it encompasses both, right? So some of the work is a little bit more darker in the narrative, and that would probably be more relative to my waking life.
Having community support is important to artists. Facts. But that support plays an even larger role in fostering art culture on a grand scale for future generations.
It's greatly important. It's important in the sense of maybe not so much affirmation for an artist to do what they do, but it absolutely helps motivate when you can connect with others through your work. I think just showing up and even taking time is so meaningful.
I'm Rance Adams for River City Live. Elena won the Art Ventures grant from the Community Foundation for Northeast Florida, and that's allowed her to continue to work on her art to showcase to Jacksonville and beyond. Her Endless Dreams art show opens at Space 42 this Thursday. The party's from 7 to 10 p.m., and it will be on display until November. So if you want to know more information, go to rivercitylivetv.com.